It's Monday, September 2. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. A total of 1,000 schools at the infant, primary and secondary level reopened on Monday to kick off the new academic year. In a national address on Sunday, Minister with Responsibility for Education, Samuda, said all is in place.
Funds have been provided and sent to all primary and secondary schools. The ministry will be providing a total of $11 billion to all schools to underwrite their operational expenses, including the provision of lunches for students on path. All shortages of school furniture have been addressed. Indeed, 32,000 pieces of furniture have been ordered. Additionally, 8,000 pieces have been repaired. In addition, 30 schools have been provided with funds to purchase their own furniture. Over 90% of our schools have had minor repairs completed.
Mr. Samuda addressed the issue of transportation, especially in rural areas, as well as that of providing curriculum needs and the troubled water issue.
In this regard, an amount of $380 million have been provided for 8 parishes. This is an increase of $180 million over last year. All books required to satisfy the curriculum needs have been purchased and delivered at a cost of $800 million. Arrangements have been made for schools to be provided with water tanks where necessary. We expect this to be completed within the next few months. We are also working with the NWC and the Rural Water Supply Limited to ensure that a more consistent supply of water is provided to all schools.
He also said that the Education Ministry is fast-tracking plans to get schools off the shift system. A National School Leaving Certificate Program, NSLC, will be introduced this academic year. This was disclosed by Minister with Responsibility for Education, Youth and Information, Samuda, at the ministry's annual Back to School press conference held at its National Hero Circle offices on Thursday. Under the program, all students who successfully complete the secondary education program will be awarded a certificate. This certificate will document the learners' competencies developed over the entirety of their secondary school years, grades 7 through to 13. Minister of National Security Dr. Chang desires to increase the number of police personnel in the constabulary force by 40% over the next 3 years. It would mean that the numbers would jump from the current roughly 12,000 members to 16,000 within 3 years, followed by a further 2,000 in the next year. Jamaica averages over 1,200 murders annually, one of the highest homicide rates in the Western Hemisphere. The island also has challenges with less serious criminal activities, including robbery, rape, shooting, petty larceny, burglary, advanced credit fraud, or lotto scamming, among others. According to the minister, the JCF needs at least an additional 4,000 officers in territorial policing and in non-geographical zone, which is like CISOCA, the Center for Investigation of Sexual Offenses, NIB, the National Investigation Bureau, and CTOC, which are not geographically based. They need at least 2,000 more. The finding of the review of Bernard Lodge land development in St. Catherine should be out soon, so says Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Prime Minister Holness ordered the review into the housing project in April this year after concerns were raised over the development. Those concerns surrounded the development of agricultural land for housing and water supply. The Prime Minister says Minister with Responsibility for Environment, Darrell Vaz, will soon make the results public. He says preliminary reports suggest space is available so farmers won't be displaced. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says contrary to previous reports, the Bernard Lodge development won't become Jamaica's third city. The National Housing Trust Chairman Lennox Chana says the agency's 2019-2020 programmed expenditure of $40 billion represents the largest ever in its entity's 43-year history. He informed that the sum is earmarked to initiate over 8,000 housing starts island-wide, adding that 6,000 from 2018 to 2019. He was speaking at Friday's groundbreaking ceremony for the NHT's $1.46 billion Twickenham Glades housing development in St. Catherine. Ground was broken by Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who has portfolio responsibility for the NHT. Head of the Association of Government Medical Consultants, Dr. Kenneth Lawson, says that the complement of overworked and underpaid doctors in the island's public hospitals is attributable to the government's refusal to get rid of outdated job post system. Dr. Lawson told the press that the current complement of posts in the public health system dates back to the 1970s and is now holding back scores of young medical professionals who are often hired on contract. He wants the government to develop a new establishment of posts for doctors based on the need that exists. Prime Minister Andrew Holness led tributes to former Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Kenneth Baugh, who died on Sunday, aged 78. Those joining the Prime Minister included former Prime Minister Bruce Golding, Opposition Leader Dr. Peter Phillips, and Cabinet Minister Olivia Grange. The Prime Minister said Dr. Baugh was a true gentleman of Jamaican politics. He said Dr. Baugh was known to many as a kind person, that he exemplified dignity and integrity throughout his life, and he will be sadly missed. Dr. Baugh served as deputy to former Prime Minister Bruce Golding when he led Jamaica from 2007 to 2011. Representing the people of St. Catherine West Central in the House of Representatives at the time. Describing Dr. Baugh as an example of integrity, Mr. Golding said the late parliamentarian was a person of impeccable character. Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips, in expressing sadness at the loss of the former chairman and deputy leader of the JLP, said that Jamaica had lost a dedicated son. Dr. Baugh also served as opposition leader, Minister of Health, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and the Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica, as well as General Secretary and Chairman of the Jamaica Labour Party. The US dollar on Friday, August 30, ended trading at Jamaican $137.70, down by 16 cents. That's according to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary. The Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $103.09, down from $103.99, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $168.41, down from $168. In regional news, in a slow, relentless advance, a catastrophic Hurricane Dorian kept pounding at the northern Bahamas early Monday as one of the strongest Atlantic storms ever recorded left wrecked homes, shredded roofs, troubled cars, and toppled over power poles in its wake. The storm topped sustained winds increased slightly to 165 miles per hour as it moved westward and slowed, crawling along the Grand Bahama Monday morning at 1 mile per hour in what forecasters said would be a day-long assault. Earlier, Dorian churned over Abaco Islands with battering winds and surf on Sunday. There was little information from the affected islands, though officials expected many residents to be left homeless. Most people went to shelters as the storm approached, with tourist hotels shutting down and residents boarded up their homes. Joy Jibrilu, Director General of the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism and Aviation, said Sunday afternoon, quote, "It's devastating. There has been huge damage to property and infrastructure," end quote. In Trinidad and Tobago, General Secretary of the National Trade Union Center, Michael Anisette, is calling for the Sedition Act to be repealed. His call comes after the recent arrest of trade unionist Watson Duke for allegedly making seditious statements. Duke has since been granted bail. More in this TTT News report.
General Secretary of the National Trade Union Center, Michael Anisette, is not satisfied that NATOC and PSA leader Watson Duke has uttered anything that warrants a sedition charge. Speaking at a media conference in Port of Spain on Thursday, Mr. Anisette said the law is old and has no place in the law books today.
The law came from the colonial past, and England repealed that very law in 2009 because they recognized the freedom of press.
Mr. Duke is allegedly being charged for a statement he made last November, but even so, Mr. Anisette was not impressed.
And then what is wrong with this statement? I asked the question, what is wrong? We must be prepared to die, folks, because people going home, no money to mind your children. That is a fundamental thing on which...
He further questioned the motive for the detention of Mr. Duke. He asked why only now the police remembered a statement that occurred 9 months ago.
Isn't it strange that after Comrade Duke made this statement, when the Prime Minister, who said, I never said public servant was lazy, but read what he said, and Duke responded like our trade union is going to respond. Don't you find it strange that he was arrested all in a sudden?
In sports, President of the Jamaica Football Federation, Michael Ricketts, has confirmed the venues for Jamaica's last 2 home games of League B of the CONCACAF Nations League later this year. After playing Antigua and Barbuda on September 6 at the Montego Bay Sports Complex, the Reggae Boys will play Aruba and Guyana in October and November. The Reggae Boys will meet Aruba at the National Stadium on October 12 before traveling to Antigua to face that country in their return fixture on November 15. They will then oppose Guyana at the Montego Bay Sports Complex on November 18. Ricketts made the revelation at the launch of the 2019-2020 season of the Red Stripe Premier League last week. And in our weather report, at 4 p.m., the distinct eye of Hurricane Dorian was located near latitude 26.6 degrees north, longitude 77.3 degrees west. Dorian is moving toward the west near 7 kilometers per hour. On this track, the core of extremely dangerous Hurricane Dorian will move over Grand Bahama on Monday. The hurricane will move dangerously close to the Florida East Coast late Monday through to Thursday night. Maximum sustained winds are near 295 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Dorian is a Category 5 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Some fluctuations in intensity are likely, and Dorian is expected to remain catastrophic hurricane during the next few days. Hurricane Dorian is not a threat to Jamaica. However, the Meteorological Service will continue to monitor this system. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks so much for watching.